Hey guys, so episode 2 season 14 had two exciting twists happening in it. The one was Nick's revenge arc against his family's murderer, scary hints at his Lucifer showing, or the scarier possibilities that he has been a psycho all along who murdered his own family, which made him a prime candidate for possession by the Prince of Darkness. But that's a whole other video on its own I'll make later. In this video I'll focus on the second big twist in the episode, which is Dean's seemingly easy return at the end of the episode against all odds and logic. Okay, so my first reaction to this was, no way, that can't really be Dean, Dichael is faking. Then I thought about it more for a few more minutes as the episode concluded, and I don't really think it's as simple as what many fans are suggesting, that Michael is simply pretending to be Dean, to fool the guys, try to get intel on hunters, whatever. They've already done that before with Gabriel in season 9 when he pretended to be Sam for a while until Sam expelled him. I really hope they don't repeat the same storyline with Dean and Michael this season, as that would be too cheap and too obvious. So I'll have some faith in the writers and showrunners to come up with a new and creative twist to explain this later in the season. Despite my issues with them in recent seasons that I talked about briefly in my video, The Problem with Supernatural today, I hope they do the storyline right, make something creative this time, don't repeat the same old recycled storylines from season 9 with the whole Gabriel and Sam thing. So I hope it's something new this time. So before I get into my theory of what Michael is really doing to Dean, let's examine events of episode 2 leading up to that final moment with Dean's abrupt return. So Sam, Bobby and Mary follow a trail of dead werewolves that they believe will lead them to Dichael. As they get closer to finding his whereabouts, we find out that Dichael planned the whole thing as a trap for them. As he tells the werewolf girl he has used her as bait before he ruthlessly kills her, leaving no witnesses behind. Okay, so before we even got to that final moment with Dean's return, I found this idea very silly and odd that Michael would even need to bait the hunters at all, considering that he's much more powerful than them. He literally kills things with his eyes. That's how powerful he is, guys. Eyes light up, things die. As simple as that. Lucifer and Xanos got nothing on Dichael. They both need to snap their fingers to execute people. Michael just stares intensely as his eyes light up blue, and the rest is history. So why the hell would he need to have some elaborate, convoluted plan to draw Sam and the gang in to find him? He also knows where they live, obviously, as he has been in the bunker before, and he knows everything about them through Dean's memory, presumably as well. So why play these silly games with mere humans that he could end with a blink of his eye, literally, if he wanted to? So those were my thoughts about this idea of baiting them before we even got to that final part. Alright, so let's get to that final moment, final scene in the episode. Door opens up. It seems like Dichael is walking in towards the guys with a menacing presence, and he lifts his hand towards them, suggesting an impending attack. Not that he even needs to use his hands at all to end them, but whatever. Then suddenly we see what looks like a struggle in his movement as he bows his head down, making pain noises and lifting his head up slowly. In a not so subtle but brilliant hint that Dean is back, before he even opens his mouth I uttered Dean in my reaction to that moment. You can actually see it in my reaction video. I have to say it's a great scene and physical acting by Jensen. So indeed we hear Dean announce that he's really back as Sam, Bobby and Mary stare at him in shock and disbelief, along with the rest of us watching. So based on the previous scenes we got with Dichael obviously enjoying his possession of Dean, his perfect vessel, his sword, and the powers that gives him, we see him subduing Dean in a brilliant mirror scene earlier, as it mirrors the scene with Sam and Lucifer in season 5. A brilliant callback reference, by the way. We also learn through his interaction with the werewolf girls that he's obviously baiting the guys into this trap, so this can't be as simple as it looks that Dean is back, but at the same time I don't think it's as simple as Michael pretending to be Dean, as I said earlier. Based on the title of the next episode and promo we saw, Dean has some sort of scar on his arms that clearly has to do with Michael's possession of him. Could it be that Michael really did leave Dean and left this scar as some kind of back door to get back into Dean without needing his consent? I believe it could be. They would have a whole lot of explaining to do on where this idea came from. The closest thing that this reminds me of is from season 2, I believe, when Sam was being possessed by Meg, and he had some kind of sigil wording carved into his skin that locked the demon inside him against any exorcism. We saw Bobby solve this problem by literally burning it away at the end of the episode before releasing the demon out of Sam. Could this scar on Dean's arm be similar to that in angelic sense? If so, that would easily give away Michael's game, whatever it is, so again, it can't be that obvious, right? Hopefully it's something more creative. So to conclude, I still don't understand why Michael would play that game at all to begin with, considering his immense power advantage over mere humans. He really doesn't need to use any tricks when he can simply end them all without even lifting a finger. But of course, this is supernatural logic or TV and movies logic in general, where the powerful villains never just end the heroes when they can easily do it, as we won't have a show to watch if they acted logically, right? So they have to dumb them down this way. Although there are ways to do that more creatively so that it does not become too obvious or too annoying. So hopefully Michael's plan will fall within that category when it's finally revealed. So that's it guys, what do you think about my theory? Do you think it's as obvious as Michael pretending to be Dean, or it has more to it than just that? Let me know down below in the comments and subscribe for more awesome supernatural content. Till next time, as always, no chick flick moments.
Does it re-energize you when there are twists like Dean being possessed by Archangel Michael, and you're essentially playing a completely different character now when you start the new season?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, it's been almost a daunting challenge. Jared's had an opportunity to play different characters, and you know he's gotten to play an angel. He's gotten to play Lucifer. He's gotten to play, which is also an angel. He's gotten to play these different characters, and not just different variations of Sam Winchester. Whereas Dean has only played different variations of Dean, and so this was, and I hadn't thought about that until the script came down the pipe, where it was Michael was going to take possession of Dean's vessel, and then I realized that this was uncharted territories, which I didn't realize that we had any of those left after 13 years. But here we are, starting season 14. I'm playing a different character within the same show that I've been playing for the past 13 years, and I was a little nervous, and I wasn't quite sure the direction that I wanted to take this particular character, even though it has a little bit of backstory. So I talked to Andrew, our showrunner, and got a little insight, and he basically was like, "You're fine, do your thing." And so I did, and we're finishing up the first episode, and the feedback has been good. It's been like, "Hey, let's do a little bit more of this," and it's been more feedback than I've gotten in the last 13 years. So whatever I've been doing as Dean hasn't needed much coaching apparently, but whatever I'm doing as Michael is needed a little bit more molding, which is great because, you know, for me it's like this new project within the project that I've already been a part of for so long.
Can you tease how long you will be playing this new character?
The character stays around longer than the audience will assume. Let's put it that way.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Not just the character, like not like saying, oh, the character's going to jump vessels or something like that, but the character, me playing the character, will stick around longer than I think people are anticipating.
Hi, my name is Dana, and I wanted to say you both are absolutely brilliant, and especially Jared with your way of non-verbal.
Actually, I didn't do that well in the SATs. I got to be honest.
Especially Jared with your non-verbal way of showing Sam's trauma whenever he was around Lucifer. So how exactly did that come about? Was it all you, or was there input? And for Jensen, how is Dean's emotional reaction going to be when he's no longer Michael?
Thank you. On behalf of both of us, the Lucifer thing started out as an accident. Honestly, when the whole Lucifer saga started 10 years ago, in case y'all wanted to feel old, it was written in because it was legit fear, and I think, you know, I get down the Wikipedia rabbit hole and the Google rabbit hole trying to figure out what victims of PTSD or trauma kind of experience, And oftentimes, if not dealt with, most times, I guess, if not dealt with, it's a consistent, irrational fear and reaction. So even when Lucifer lost his power, or I was saved, I wanted to make sure to give credence to the idea that Sam still, he had this bit of like being around his tormentor, being around his attacker. And so that it became something that the writers trusted. They didn't need to write into the stage direction. They knew that I'm very protective of my buddy Sam, and he's very protective of his buddy Dean. And so I just kind of tried to work that in as much as possible. And there were even lines that I would call the writers and producers and be like, hey, this kind of indicates Sam being frivolous with Lucifer, and it works better for Dean. And Jensen would be like, absolutely, because he has the kind of wry gallows humor. So yeah, it's a, before y'all see Supernatural, a lot of work has gone into it, but a lot of work has gone into us trying to figure out every second, you know?
I've seen it too. What he really looks like behind whatever vessel. Yeah, it still keeps me up at night.
How do you deal with it?
I guess I don't.
I think you'll see, as far as the Michael thing, when Dean becomes Dean again, as we know he will. I don't think that's a spoiler alert. In true Dean fashion, he is greatly affected by that experience, but he pushes it down and puts on a brave face and doesn't want to talk about it, which only means that it's going to rear its ugly head later in the season, and we'll see how that works. I have not read, we haven't gotten that far yet, but that's what I understand is going to happen.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's awesome. Right. Come on.
You know what? You're awesome.
Thanks. You too, I guess.